what podcast ain't nonsense, the PoliticsJOE podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey!
It's going to have to be a long plan.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for applauding my entrance.
Well, you made us do it. So,
Guys.
don't give me enough respect.
Ava wanted me to do it. So I
That's
did.
good. For the listeners, Ollie walked on to set there from off.
I think you'd be able to tell that from the audio, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it
Sounds
was.
like it's across the room.
Yeah, if they could hear it at all.
It's the critical game. We should feel about that, shouldn't we?
Probably.
Technically, it's a podcast first.
It was like the Graham Norton walk on.
Exactly like the Graham Norton.
Exactly the Green Norton one.
Yeah.
You should do it more. You should have like a monologue. You stand just kind of there,
Yeah.
riff about the week's news. There's on with the show.
But instead of like Jennifer Lawrence and Barry Keoghan, it's me and Ed.
Yeah, there's always the budget third guest. You have 2 extra budget, like 6th guests. That's how far along the couch we would be.
Yeah. We're not even in the room.
No, we're actually audience members
Yeah,
rather than guests.
Barry Kay's been looking well, hasn't he?
Yes.
Got
Yeah.
right off him.
Why? What'd you saw his dick?
No. What?
In Saltburn.
Yeah, no. Oh, right, yeah.
Shaft is in Saltburn, no?
Sorry. Completely misunderstood the question. He has a 15-month baby and an ex-girlfriend that he's not with, and he hasn't been with her while the baby was fresh. And that has really turned me off of him. That, to me, feels like an abdication of responsibility.
Okay.
What?
Should he be hanging around with his ex-girlfriend? Presumably she doesn't want him.
Well, she was his girlfriend. She was his girlfriend at the time. They split up.
Right. What are we angry at him for? Breaking up with his girlfriend?
I'm angry at him. No. I think that that's okay. If it was flipped on the other side, say Barry Keoghan was like, look, it's just me and the 15-month baby at the moment because my girlfriend left me. We'd all go, the mother left? The mother left the baby? What do you mean? Like, you should be with the baby. And so flipping that, it's, wait, you left the baby. Why? Why?
But then the baby.
Go on.
Surely there is some understanding that people are able to break up and co-parent a baby, and it's better for the baby to not be in, like, if the relationship came to an end, it was going to come to an end for a reason, and presumably they're better off apart.
They were on
than
the red
together.
carpet fine before, and he's now pictured with Sabrina Carpenter. It was all over Dugmore this weekend, I saw.
Dugmore, the famously.
I don't know any mother in my life, let me say in my life, who would abandon or not be around daily their 15-month baby and then be dating someone new. If that was happening to a woman in your life, would you not want to beat the shit out of them and go back there and look after baby?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if they've broken up, he can't hang around with her looking after the baby, can he? They've got to share it. And in fact, actually, that fresh, because I'd say 15 months is still pretty fresh. It's going to be around the mother a lot anyway, isn't it? Because of, well, we don't know.
That's not
possibly
a good
breastfeeding.
answer, I have to say.
Why?
Because I think that if you've just given birth, that's the worst version of yourself that you'll ever be. That's like you're pumped full of hormones, you're extremely tired, you're having to feed something else. I think that any man who is not there, present, and is off making a film, I think that's questionable.
What if she doesn't want him there because they've broken up?
Well, I haven't heard from her. So
We were wondering.
Yeah.
But if this is a very well-sourced argument.
if you are Barry Keoghan's ex-girlfriend and you're listening to this, could you please get in touch?
I'm sure
and
she
tell
is.
me?
I'm sure
If
she
you're
will.
totally
Really
fine
big with
the
new mothers.
situation and you
Newly
kicked
single
him
mothers
out-
is our main demographic.
Yeah, if you kicked him out, let me know and I'll take it all back and it's fine. But I just think it's odd. If it was round the other way, we would say that is an odd thing to do.
Okay. Ava Santina, hello.
Sorry.
How are you?
Welcome to the Barry Keoghan podcast.
Hi.
Is that how you say his name?
That was
I've never said. I've always called him Barry K.
He's
For fear.
yeah, last week he said he wanted to be Barry. He's Barry Keoghan.
Keoghan, that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. I'll greet him as such when I see him next.
A lot
And
of
ask him about his...
but a lot of Irish people on Instagram were like, I don't think that's how you say it. I think he's saying his own name wrong.
They're divided people.
Yeah. Who would know how to say their own name? Definitely not the person themselves.
Someone said that name had been like made Protestant.
Like Anglified.
Yeah,
It would have more
that's
vowels.
a very controversial thing you just said there.
What, Anglified?
Can't be Irish if you're a Protestant.
No, but that's why it would be. But as in
But yeah.
Ireland, they made everything, when they tried to Protestantise it, they anglicised all the names. So like, people who were called Shawn were called John. And there's a big part of...
Should we start calling him John?
Yeah, for sure.
But Hickey's It's not just a Sean Hickey podcast that we're talking about.
I should have asked Shawn how you say Barry Kay's name. He'd have a view, I'm sure.
We were discussing it last week. You were actually at the desk, but you were doing your headphones on thing and not talking to us.
Working.
No, not something that we know much about.
We were on the other side of the desk, like, well,
I can't believe he's left his wife.
I'm glad Sean's not here today because he'd be sitting over there going, I had to fucking hear this last week and now I'm hearing it again.
This is the second time you've done this.
It's actually the third
Okay.
because the second time I did it was actually at my best friend's engagement party on Saturday. We all agreed.
And this is another thing. Barry Keoghan.
Yeah.
Ed Campbell.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I've got very few opinions about Barry and his personal life. Just so
But what are the few ones that you do have?
Oh, okay, I mean zero. Is what I meant by very few. That is the fewest number. It must be said. But no, I think I just respect him as an actor.
Would we say that he was looking cunty recently?
Yes. Someone made the point. See, if you don't know what we're talking about, this is absolute.
Yeah, it's appalling.
Torture to listen
appalling
to.
listen, yeah.
Well, go try this new politics podcast. Who are these people? What are
Why
they
is that
talking
guy
about?
not stood next to a microphone? Why are they talking about Barry Kay's love life?
It was the Golden Globes. He was wearing that horrible red outfit.
Horrible's certainly a
I
word,
think
isn't it?
he looked ridiculous. He did.
I think it looked quite cool.
I don't know how right to apply works with showbiz, but like, should we say that like Barry says that they're like totally fine and he sees the baby? Like,
Barry says his outfit was nice. That's the right of the reply.
if that's the right to apply, I mean, he has said, yeah, he sees the baby and he's very happy. But yeah, I like the white outfit was a bit wild, wasn't it?
don't remember
The
what
white
outfit.
tux. It was a white, no-sleeved tux with matching trousers.
His fake tan appears to be increasing in intensity the more famous he gets.
Yeah. I think would do.
Do you think yours will?
Yeah, they get more famous. yeah.
Have you not been able to notice?
Oh.
Has the podcast been running?
There's a picture
I'm
that
not
we
quite-
took when we first were taking photos for this podcast, which is, it was like at the end of summer, wasn't it? And it was like, or it was around,
No,
it was
it was-
around summer.
Yeah.
There had been some sun, and you three looked like fucking milk bottles.
Yeah.
And I then, therefore, looked like I've been to the sun or been to the bathroom.
That's where your holiday
and-
was. That's where your annual leave was, just to the sun,
Yeah.
being toasted by it. For a spot of colour.
You look hench in those photos.
Yeah.
He is.
He is.
A massive. I also think the perspective on the way this table works, because it's like curved, the perspective is I look enormous. Like, as in, like, I look physically.
Bro, don't
really,
sit down yourself.
I'm
You're
not being-
swole.
No, I'm not.
You
I'm-
are jacked, bro.
That's not what I was saying. As in, I look like I'm a bigger person than you are. You're like a good bit taller than me because of perspective. Fuck off, Ava.
Sorry. So, no, Ava, don't interrupt Ed when he's talking about this. It's very important.
But as in, people would be confused. I
What were you
think
saying about Ollie?
they taller than me, but I think perspective wise.
And one more time, just so we can get a nice clean edit on that.
Yeah, he's got a tiny dick. Don't ask how I know that. Never ask a woman. Never ask a woman her age or Ed Campbell how he knows how big Ollie's dick is.
It's when we went to Scotland and shared a hotel room for 3 days.
Yeah, longer than that.
Did you share a hotel room in Scotland?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a lot.
Do you remember what we just told the story about when you got locked in?
No, we haven't. Ava and I were in France, in Dunkirk. We had quite late at this hotel, and the man at the front desk had spoke such little English, and somehow it was like a tiny like capsule room, it was like a single room, and my door just locked. I couldn't open it from the inside, and Ava had to go and get the French man.
No, but can I just explain that from this closed door I could just hear Ava, Ava. Yeah.
Oh, what, you thought he was like trying to talk to you after you both been like, night? And he's like knocking on the wall.
Ava. Ava.
It's like, can you go and get the receptionist? So I go and I'm like, I don't speak any French. I don't even do like petit pois. Well, I've done it now. So, you know,
That would have confused the situation further.
So
You're asking for peas.
I'm at the front desk and I'm like to this guy like,
À la chambre.
I actually am. Come to my room. Come to my room. I lead him. I stand him outside Ed's room. And then I'm like, Ed, tell him. It's a closed door.
Oh, c'est cassé. You know, you heard a shock of somebody. Oh! You did not expect anyone to be in the room.
Because I'd led him to the door. And then Ed suddenly he's like, in French, telling him, like, I'm stuck in the room. And this guy's like, oh, where's that coming from? And I'm like, he's in there.
And I eventually got free. Thank God. Otherwise, wouldn't be here today.
Glad to have you with us.
Yeah.
This is high-level discourse right now.
You
Absolutely.
don't understand. It was so funny.
Yeah, it was ludicrous.
Yeah.
We haven't really been away together since, have we?
You know.
Since we shared that hotel room. It's like the fishing trip in Gavin.
It was so traumatic. I refused it. No, I don't think we have actually.
That was quite nice. We were in Borough Head, weren't we?
You're not a sender anymore.
Well, Ed, until last week,
You're a Southender.
I'm now a Southender, yeah.
That was so rogue. You waking up one morning, coming in here and deciding you were going to Southend to film a video.
I know. I don't know what came over me. Fancy doing some work.
For your annual video.
Well, it's going to be more than that, I think. I think actually, Laura and I are going to put you two amateurs to shame this year, I think. There's going to be a lot of Southend action going on.
Just Southend.
We are going to cover Southend to an inch of its life.
I'm a local news reporter.
We are now Southend Joe.
I think it's outrageous that when you make a video, you get Laura, because Laura is an exceptionally good producer.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
And so I just think that's
Look, we might be able to arrange a loan agreement.
Mm.
It's there.
Or we could all get a Laura.
The thing is, Laura doesn't want to work with either of you guys.
I
not
think
remotely
that
true.
might be true.
She likes working with us more. She just doesn't get to.
She's off shot. You can't see it. She's nodding her head vigorously.
Because you put a gun at her. Because you're
The
her
hammer.
boss.
There is actually a hammer on the
Yeah.
desk.
There is, yeah. It's the Houthi hammer.
Oh no.
Is it? They gave it to you.
That's what you were
on
going to
your
use.
mission of friendship.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a
sorry. The London Stock Exchange. That's what you were. Ollie completely misunderstood the assignment. He thought that they were going to smash up there was one computer that is the London Stock Exchange.
Where is it?
Guys, you've overcomplicated this massively.
Don't worry. Just log out.
We can just turn it off.
Look.
The internet.
Yeah, the Daily Express have done Palestine action. They've done them.
Got him.
Done them real bad.
Yeah.
They're going to disrupt the London Stock Exchange by the looks of things. 6 people have been arrested.
That is a bloody extraordinary bit of activism, I have to say.
That's direct action.
That is direct.
Live and direct.
That is full send.
Yeah.
It's like Ollie going to Southend, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think would have had more impact to your video on Southend or Palestine Action
Do
taking
you
it
think
to
they
London
would have
Stock Exchange?
completed it if Laura had produced it?
Yes.
Yeah. More rigorous background checks for their activists.
I can't believe that they didn't sniff out that he was an Express journalist.
Yeah, I don't know. To what extent are we going to talk about this? Because knowing the guy, it's not the first time he's infiltrated a
No,
group
it's not, is it?
done this.
He's done this multiple times.
Mm.
And also they'll be linked people. They're kind of there's Venn diagrams there.
Can you imagine sticking his byline into Google and seeing a photo of him and being like, "Fuck, he's done it again."
He's wearing a moustache.
It was a prosthetic nose. He told us it was a joke.
He turns over in is a Groucho Marx mask.
Yeah.
My least favorite paper, the Daily Express. Oh, let me tell you my secret.
Ah, of
The
course.
It's the mailbag hour.
Please, no, please, Laura. Yeah, please. Thank you. Cheers.
It's the anthrax.
I mean, if that's what it was, and it got me live on camera, would you publish the video?
Yeah.
Would you want us to?
He died doing what he loved,
They'll kill
Big
us too.
packages.
imbibing anthrax.
Those things, whenever you rip them, don't you think they've always got like quite a toxic stuff?
Yeah, they're like insulation on. This is very peculiar. Yeah, there it
Yeah.
Oh my
that-
god,
is. There's the anthrax.
that's awful. Couple of dusty
I'm
boots.
sure that cannot be good for you.
What have we got?
It's The Trading Game by Gary Stevenson.
You've already got one of them.
We did. We received one earlier, so we've got 3 copies now.
Perfect. One each.
Thanks.
Should we do a book review now?
The PR said to me, "It is the best book ever."
That's a good bit of PR.
All caps.
It's the best book of all time.
Very so.
This is going to
The
be.
thing is, she's PR'd other books for me, and she hasn't described them as such. So I had to ask the question. Yeah, I wonder if the cams are picking up the particles that are hanging in the air right
probably.
now around us.
Yeah.
If you describe something as the best book ever, you have to have real courage in your conviction.
Yeah, well,
Otherwise,
you just work in PR.
otherwise your reputation in PR is going to go down the toilet. What was not the best book ever?
Well, then trust us not to write a scathing review of it.
We've submitted to book reviews.
Ed, you've been interviewing people, haven't you? You did John Ronson last
I
week.
did do John Ronson last week.
How is he?
He was good. It was a good forum.
Yeah?
He was excited about the new series of his podcast where he explores the culture wars.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it was good. He's the first series explored the origin of culture war myths, or not necessarily the myths, culture war areas like abortion and how that went from. He explores how one seemingly small action has massive effects, like a kind of ripple effect.
Would you call it the butterfly effect?
I would call it the butterfly effect. That's a different podcast.
Mm.
What do you mean, like abortion means that like a child? What? Like, what do you mean? A child? What? Wait. Are you just learning about abortion now?
Yeah, that's quite important.
That child could have lived an entire life.
Well, actually
The
not.
possibilities were endless.
I take that back because they're not a child, are they? They're just a.
That fetus could have turned
they're
into a
born.
child.
Yeah.
I think that's a matter of contention, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's like an egg could be a chicken, but it's not. It's an egg. Yeah.
You should try that one on them.
See this? This could be a chicken.
I did actually write that. You know, I specifically remember in my RS lesson in year 9 when I was at Catholic school that I wrote in my end of year exams about eggs being like the same concept as an abortion.
And you wouldn't eat a fetus.
Huh?
You wouldn't eat a fetus.
Don't knock it till you tried it.
I think the argument was, and we eat eggs all the time. Duh.
So I bet that fetus is delicious.
Yeah. That was,
People do eat the placenta, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's like the mother. I don't think that's like a.
It's not a
Oh,
delicacy.
should I stop
Huh?
eating placentas?
Yeah.
You know, what's
Yeah.
that thing in France where like you have to cover your head to eat it? It's like the whole tiny bird.
Well,
thing.
because you don't want anyone to see you do it.
It's something to do with like it's such a sinful act. God can't see you eating this meal. That's what Ollie does when he's eating a placenta.
What
He's
is it
not
like
that
taking a
market.
woman home? Like, what is that?
I've never heard it.
Have you not?
No.
I think you're well into it. It's like
I want to know more. It sounds right up my
I
street.
think it's like it's a tiny. I'm gonna get this so wrong, but from my understanding and impeccable recollection, it's a tiny bird. I think it's quite either really rare or really precious or something, and it's kind of sinful to eat it, but it's also delicious and a delicacy.
I know
So you-
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
so
do know.
they eat this tiny like songbird whole,
Yeah.
and because God would hate that, they cover their heads with a blanket or like a tablecloth.
I didn't know about them being covered, but I do know about this bird.
And so
I know
what's she
someone who's
called?
gone and eaten that bird.
You know someone who's done it?
Yes.
What the hell?
I'm going to fucking shock you.
What? Wow.
Well, it was my ex-boyfriend, wasn't it? Obviously, because he used to.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Would you eat the
Because he
legal
used
bird?
to eat birds. No, I know exactly what you mean.
Would you eat the sinful bird?
How good does it taste?
I can't imagine it'd be that
I can't imagine
Good.
eating a whole bird.
in like one.
Is it plucked?
I'd
The
imagine
feathers
so.
must be a nightmare.
There's also
I
so many
think
comments
it's
like this is
I think
actually
it's
what it is.
illegal.
Yeah, I think that's it as well.
Yeah.
That's why they do it under a blanket.
Actually,
so no one can see that they're doing it.
Maybe to protect your identity. It's to have like plausible deniability about whether or not.
Wasn't me, Gav.
me.
Have you seen that big tuna that's been bought by a restaurant?
In Manchester.
Fucking
Was
mental.
that your Instagram story?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Ollie posted a big fish on his Instagram story to bait me into replying. And it did.
Let me tell you, it worked.
A fish pick with you is kind of like how you used to do that. Like, you know?
And then he punched them.
Do you think we should talk about
We started talking about Ed
Oh,
John
yeah.
Ronson interview, didn't we? But we got distracted
Yeah,
with
sorry about
eating the forbidden bird.
But we're but in, so
Just
I was-
finally,
I-
sorry, just finally, before we move on from French cuisine, are you familiar with andouillette?
no.
It's like I don't know how it's like arsehole sausage. It is a sausage made out of the colon of a pig,
Right.
and it tastes like an arsehole.
you like it?
That was horrendous. So that's it.
Oh, you ate it.
I was out for lunch with my wife, and she ordered it, and she was making like a big fucking song and dance about it. And I was like, "Oh, shut up! How bad can it be?" And I like cut off half of it and put it in my mouth, and was like, "What?"
What is it? Does it not just taste like a sausage?
So no.
Oh, you really think it tastes like a sausage?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I thought. And I thought, "Oh, grow up, you big baby.
It's a
Grow up, you
sausage.
big chicken egg. Grow up." And it tastes and smells of arse, but it doesn't have the texture of a regular sausage.
Oh,
Because
I
it
got
is-
of an arsehole. Very different.
So a connoisseur like me, you can really
It is
understand it.
literally like the small intestine.
Maybe
Right.
it hadn't been douched.
It has the texture of if you were eating like 20 Elastic Mans. It's like gelatinous and stringy
Ugh.
and rubbery, and if you look at it as well, like in the inside of the sausage, it's just loads of like little crinkly white bits.
Oh,
like a ring piece.
stop it.
Yeah.
No disrespect. Why
Please.
did she order it?
Because the English version of the menu, it just said sausage, which is disingenuous.
If we know one thing about your wife, she loves scratching arse. So that is. The red rags to a
I
bull.
don't know how you're going to explain it.
I'm gonna have to defend her honour. She's like, there was a hammer in front of you. Why didn't you do anything?
It's a day ending why.
Were you
No,
in
and
France?
I did, yeah, we were in France, and I don't know why because on the French version of the menu it said andouillette, whereas obviously it should have said saucisson if it was a regular sausage.
What was it? What was our sausage?
Andouillette.
Andouillette.
Pig bum sausage.
Yeah. no,
It's
not
bad.
that.
Anyone who's had it will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Imagine the sheer stress a pig colon has to go through. Imagine the
Yeah, it's getting through some work.
Like that is an absolute insane amount of work for that.
So yeah, it was sort of like,
No amount of cleaning would make me feel that that was all right to eat.
mm,
Like,
yeah, look, I wouldn't do it by choice, but apparently it's now basically like the reserve of like weird 50-year-old French blokes. They're like the only people who order
and
it.
your
now.
wife.
Yeah.
Was the waitress like? Were they not like?
No, they were like, oh, mais oui.
Ah,
Chef,
bien
but she
sûr."
wants it. She wants the pig ass.
She wants what?
The big ass.
We haven't made that news. We just had these pig arses rotting.
Oi, Pierre, she wants that dumper truck.
He does not have time to douche. That's how they speak. 'cause
They
they're in
fell for
France.
it.
Yeah, no, I think to you they're like, oh, oui, c'est bien sûr.
Do you think they were trolling the
Then they-
English people by
Yeah,
putting
and then
just
they get
sausage?
back to the kitchen, they're like, those fucking English guys again, they
Right.
fell for the sausage menu.
Watching it.
Fucking morons.
Peeking over the kitchen window.
Yeah, they couldn't understand why like most of it was left on the plate. Anyway,
That's a shame.
They probably thought you were a real man when they saw you lean over and take half the colon. At like, you know.
yeah, I was nearly sick.
That's
It's
insane.
really bad. I would encourage you to just order it like as an extra dish and cut off a tiny piece and just because it is one of the worst things I have ever eaten. Genuinely,
That's so funny.
You lost. I wouldn't mind like
What did it come with?
the taste of it. But
like a fucking side salad.
what? No potato.
I think there was some mash. Yeah,
Bum salad and pig.
yeah. The pig's cock and balls were also on the plate.
It's actually quite cut behaviour to eat that and to be presented that and eat it. Yeah, we served them we served a bum and they ate. Of all this, they would do whatever we fucking said.
Similarly, eating things you shouldn't. I was once in an Italian restaurant in Italy, and they did like some mozzarella on lemon. You know, like the leaves of a lemon tree. The mozzarella was on top of that, and I think the intention was that the mozzarella would be infused with the flavours of the lemon. I just picked up the leaf and ate it, and the waiter came over and was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I'm there like a fucking diplodocus or something, like munching through a fucking branch. Oh, it actually tastes quite nice. And he's like,
"Oh, you not backing down?
Yeah,
eating more lemon leaves.
Oh, it's delicious."
Yeah.
It's not like the bum that I ate.
That's really like a Pretty Woman moment for you, isn't it? You know, when she goes to the restaurant, she doesn't know what knife and fork to use. That was you, but with the lemon leaf.
Exactly. Should we return to John Ronson?
If we can.
Did we get back to John Ronson from this?
Speaking of scranning arse.
I got on famously with Mr. Ronson.
If you want to see some bum licking, watch that interview. What was my point?
No, talk about it in emotional terms, Ed. Talk about what it was like to interview Mr. Ronson, because you like him.
That's good. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of John Ronson, and I enjoyed discussing
Favourite book?
his craft. So You've Been Publicly Shamed. I think I'm also one of his big fans of his podcast, Things Fell Apart, which is what we were discussing about the culture wars. I think is pretty exceptional.
I liked season 1 of Butterfly Effect. I thought season 2 wasn't as good.
Was that the last season? Last Days of August?
Yes.
Yes, so that was where he explored the impact of internet porn and the advent of Pornhub. I think it's quite incredible.
On the death of the porn star August Ames.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting what he does, how he goes back to, he finds the original sin almost of the culture war and sees how that spreads through and how that pervades mainstream culture and politics and how it informs society at the moment. I think it's brilliant, to be honest with you. I think that's my review.
And ladies and gentlemen, you can watch half an hour of that level of challenge being expressed to John Ronson if you watch Campbell's interview with him.
It was garbage, man.
The Adam and Eve apple scene, the original sin scene, now would be like Beverly Turner, the Coast Guy, and ivermectin.
Injecting it live on air.
No, that's like full. Bev Turner and Neil Oliver are like Sodom and Gomorrah. It's like man has fallen. It's long gone. The original sin is like fucking must be like evangelicals or something in like the 50s.
Wonder what it would be for
Miriam Cates.
What is the original culture war sin? Where does he go back to?
So one of the most interesting ones, I think, it's in the first series, is he talks about abortion, how that became a cause of the evangelical right. Before that, it was actually like it was between progressives and Catholics in America. It wasn't really, that was the only kind of issue there was with it, and it wasn't as inflammatory or an emotive an issue as it is now. And bizarrely, it came about, it took off because I think it was a Swiss filmmaker who was 19, wanted to be a filmmaker. He wanted to work in Hollywood, and he made a really emotive anti-abortion film because he had just had a baby at quite a young age, and he was like, I don't want anyone to be deprived of the joy of having a child. So made this insane film where it's got like, they went to like I think it's the Dead Sea, and they had like put lots of baby dolls covered in fake blood on it. All this like quite abstract imagery, and they toured it around evangelical churches, and that's how it became like a key component of the right in America. It was all just because his name was Frank Schaeffer. Frank Schaeffer wanted to be a Hollywood director, and it's now they've got abortion bans in however many states in the US, which is quite incredible. But this one is about the new series is about the culture wars in lockdown and how during a 6-week period of lockdown everyone's kind of absolutely lost their minds, whether it was anti-vax stuff or BLM stuff. All that exploded in the same 6-week period.
Yeah, people really lost their mind over the BLM stuff, that's for sure. I had been working the whole time, so I was still quite normal. I'd been leaving the house to work, and I do remember covering the BLM protests, and I thought, we shouldn't keep people in their houses. This is testament to that.
It was actually a really interesting sort of byproduct. I think I was interviewing Afua Hirsch at the time about it, and saying, because don't get me wrong, clearly it's a horrific crime. I'm not minimising it in any way. It's an injustice. But as regular listeners of the podcast will know, as anyone who pays any attention to the news agenda will know, George Floyd was not the first unarmed black man to be killed by a police officer, right? And Afa was kind of saying that you have to understand it in the context of lockdown, right? That whereas for certain people in the black community, it can feel like they were surrounded by this police violence and like the injustice of it, and the how obvious the injustice of it was, but that it took that moment where everyone was on their phone, everyone was paying more attention to the news agenda than they ever really do, because it related to their direct circumstance in relation to what was happening to coronavirus, but also because they were so plugged into media at that moment in time, that for the first time, for a lot of people, it was the first time they'd actually gone, Jesus fucking Christ. You know, it was the first time they'd had real direct exposure to that kind of police violence, and as a result, it was the fact that it happened during lockdown was central to the sort of the response to it and the scale of the response to it.
Yeah, because also look, you were doing nothing else, so that if anything, you could ruminate on that, and there was also sort of a kind of social pressure to engage with it as well. There was a ton of social pressure online, and probably from your peers as well.
That's a really interesting point, because everyone knew that everyone else was doing fucking nothing.
Yeah,
you know that everyone is sat at home, so it's kind of like, what are you doing? You know, will you just be sat there watching Bridgerton again, or you could put a black square on Instagram?
Yeah,
why haven't you done it?
Yeah, and it was like, if people were calling out other people for not posting, for not engaging with it, which because I think Instagram just for ages was just like, read these if you want to be better educated about police violence, about like the prison industrial system, things like that. These are the resources I found, and people were educating each other, or encouraging people to engage with it.
The worst form of activism, when someone puts up on their story like a simple politics breakdown of like how to stop police violence. Shut the fuck up, okay?
Don't you talk to me until you've tried to shut down the London Stock Exchange.
Yeah, honestly.
All right? You are lightweight.
Yeah. It'll be things like, number one, if you see what you believe to be unlawful arrest, film it, intervene. It's like, you should be doing that. Why are you telling people to do that? I don't know.
Also, in my discussion with John, we spoke about the difference between the left and right attitudes towards the culture war. There's a clip, if we want to include that.
Go on.
Should we roll the clip?
Please.
Fucking do it.
Roll it. I think that speaks to a point, maybe, or observation about the left, in that I think the left are very quick to blame the right for the culture wars, and are quite rubbish at recognising their own complicity. As in, there was people on the left looked to the Michigan Wolverines and just, well, they are a white militia, so they must also therefore be white supremacists. I think there's a lack of. Do you think there's a lack of nuance or lack of perspective on maybe both sides, and it's easy to blame one over the? It's easier to blame than to admit complicity, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And actually, one of the things I think the second series does is look at the kind of different ways that the left and right, in terms of untruths. Another sort of talk before about how one thing that unites all of these stories that they all blew up within days of each other. Another thing that unites the stories is that they're all about untruths and their consequences. And the untruths that come from the right seem to be, these big baroque conspiratorial lies. Like, as we're speaking today, it's the day after the Jeffrey Epstein papers have been released, and Twitter, I just can't bring myself to say X. I just don't want
No, I think it's very sensible.
Yeah, in the same way that I don't want to go into a Starbucks and ask for a venti. just because you come up with a word doesn't mean I'm forced to use it. And so Twitter's full of fake stuff, Jimmy Kimmel, and it's all fake. So that's the right. It's just these big baroque balls out lies. On the left, it's more subtle sometimes. It's sort of ideological untruths where one of the things I look at in the series, and I've just noticed it happening more and more, is, young journalists are coming in and they've been trained to be more activist than evidence-based. And obviously, often activist journalism has been great and is important and is a kind of vital part of the tapestry of journalism. And I can come up with a million, excellent things that activist journalism has done. But if it becomes, too much of the sort of default, it has negative consequences. And one of them is that, if you're desperate to tell a story where, a particular type of person is the hero, then you start to filter out. It's like confirmation bias. You filter out the stuff that contradicts your story. So there's a sort of magical thinking element to left-wing ideological journalism, which in its way is just as problematic as the great big lies of the right.
Ed, what interested you about what Mr. Ronson said in that clip?
I think, particularly on the left, people talk about the culture wars and people talk about it as a right-wing thing. People talk about, we are engaging with this because the right are attacking these things, and culture wars are in of themselves a right-wing tactic to divide and alienate. But what I think is interesting is I think it depends on what side you're sympathetic to, isn't it? If you are pro, for example, diversity, equality, and inclusion, that's become the buzzword in the past week. It's probably a new culture war run, isn't it?
Massively. You noticed that DEI cropping up everywhere.
So people on the left are probably quite sympathetic to the existence of the role DEI officer within like whatever council. But that role's very existence is actually, that's a cultural thing in of itself, because the left has successfully campaigned to bring awareness to the lack of diversity in race or background or gender in various industries. And I think there needs to be some recognition that the left can be as underhand. Even if you agree with the outcome or the aim, you can recognise the tactics that people are using.
I guess the point is that there would be no culture war if it was just if the right were really the only participants in it, because it would just be a cultural victory. There would be no contestation, right? For there to be a battle around it, there have to be two participants.
Or a cultural damp squib.
Not with a bang, but a cultural whimper.
Yeah. Like if during the Somme, for example, if there had been two lines of trenches, it would just be a couple of guys in a hole.
On a walk.
Just be dudes hanging out. Just be a great example of some men's mental health.
Just on a nice hike through northern France.
Yeah, a couple of madries.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Me and the boys.
Shooting some guns. Target practice.
Do you think you'd be any good in war?
No. Do you?
Yes.
In what role?
On the phones.
Doing Hitler's bins. Hacking Hitler's voicemail. No, we'd obviously be in the propaganda department.
Yeah, I think we actually would be very good at that.
What are we doing right now, fellas?
Yeah, true. We're being
certainly not fighting in the culture war, Ava.
We're being paid by the
Or are
Conservative
we?
British Alliance, whatever that acronym was. The people did that poll.
That did the polling.
Yeah.
That don't exist anywhere else.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Nick Frost's pals. David Frost.
Nick Frost is
Simon Pegg's friend.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, they're also they're in the Cornetto trilogy, believe it or not.
So the point is, nonetheless, that left-wing people are a participant in the culture war.
Absolutely.
And perhaps are slightly ignorant of their role in antagonising their opponents, who admittedly act in different ways and participate in this contestation differently, but nonetheless, they are sort of equal partners in it.
And there's also as well, it's not even necessarily a left-wing versus right-wing thing. It's a left-wing versus other left-wing people thing as well. If you are... Well, I think the left compared to the right is much more sanctimonious, much more willing to criticize their own, but also but in much more kind of bloodthirsty ways. If you're not as liberal as if you're not as left wing as I am, then you are scum. Like you are as bad as a person who's a million miles away from me because you're not quite where I am. The example that I think which really illustrates this in John's new series is he interviews a journalist who used to work for The Intercept, and he interviewed a man during the Black Lives Matter protests, and he said he's a black guy, and he said, why do people only care about black people dying when a white person kills a black person? People don't care when black people kill black people. He was like, the guy was saying to him, that is just as bad. That's an endemic problem in our communities, etc. And it went super, super viral. But people on staff at The Intercept were super critical of the journalist in question for even platforming that, and he was accused of being racist himself for platforming it.
But then that's activism, not journalism.
But that's what he says. It becomes like an intersection between. He talks about this generation of journalists who view themselves as activists rather than journalists as well.
Yeah, but I think that's the same for the right as well.
Really?
I know a lot of conservative journalists who truly do believe it anti-immigration, anti-ULEZ.
It's like there's a place for. Ronson says it in the clip. There's a place for activist journalism, right? Within journalism, and it's not just people think the modern connotations of the word activist. They think that correlates to like the boys taking their Houthi hammers to the London Stock Exchange, but actually, it pertains to like campaigning journalism. Do you know what I mean? Like identifying what you view as an injustice or something that you want to change in the world, and then pursuing an agenda of journalism to change that.
The post office.
Yeah, that'd be an example. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bloody activists.
Computer Weekly.
Yeah.
Taking that off. Yeah.
Yeah. Computer Weekly. Those bloody left activists.
Bloody lefties.
Bloody lefties. Computer nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So an interesting insight. So what was his point about the difference then between the right and the left when it comes to their participation in the culture war?
I think it's more about when you think of right-wing culture wars, you think of just big, bold, brass. I think the suggestion is the left-wing ones are actually harder to identify and they're less willing to admit it, whereas like the right-wing ones are Hillary Clinton is a paedophile in this Washington DC pizza parlor.
No, because that's a huge spectrum, surely.
Say that again.
That's like the two extremes.
Yeah, but as in like I do not think a left-wing. I don't think there has been or there would be a left-wing conspiracy theory as bold as that. Almost it'd be more pernicious or a culture war tactic.
Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
Is that an example of a left-wing?
People do genuinely believe that the Twin Towers, that was an inside job.
Yeah, but I think that transcends the left-right dynamic.
Why does Lizard Hillary Clinton not?
Yeah,
I was going to say that.
That's what. But I'm talking about Pizzagate in particular.
Yeah,
I think Pizzagate is like a QAnon adjacent right-wing conspiracy theory.
I think maybe the conspiracy theory muddies the waters almost because it's things like, I don't know. For me, the most illustrative examples of this are things like, they won't even sing Rule Britannia at the end of the proms anymore.
Yes.
Or, they've stopped teaching Beowulf in English lit classes because it portrays like toxic masculinity or something like that. And for me, those are sort of slightly more clear-cut examples because they're unmuddied by the additional layer, which I think you're both right to point out, which is that like whether it's jet fuel can't melt steel beams or QAnon, that there's an extra layer of complication there introduced by the conspiracy theory, as opposed to a story that enables two competing versions of culture, and for people to debate and contest with each other on the basis of that, whether it's and so it's to Ronson's point, right, that the right prefers these sort of big lies, and admittedly, whether or not they're teaching Beowulf at Sussex isn't necessarily like a grand scale lie, but you drill down into it and it's just they've changed the curriculum.
Yeah,
it's not because they're actually
it's not the DEI officer demanding Beowulf be removed.
Exactly, or there was, I can't remember what it was now, but there was some reason, wasn't there, why they didn't sing Rule Britannia? It wasn't.
It was the conductor decided it was like a musical choice
Yeah.
rather than anything.
Yeah, something like that.
Stylistic.
Yeah, I was like, well, it would be interesting. Would it be interesting to just have the orchestra play it?
No! They hate Britain now.
Didn't everyone sing in the end?
Oh, really?
I swear there was like an audience.
That's very
singing
good.
or something like that.
Do we think the culture wars will work still? Do you think?
They are working.
But as in, do you think politicians will lean into them?
Yes.
Yes.
Immigration is a culture war.
Yeah.
There's it's almost like there's like a stat that's going around, which is half of all
Oh, yeah.
social housing is taken up by immigrants, and that, despite being disproved multiple times, is repeated as fact, verbatim.
A couple of right-wing grifters have been repeating this one on GB News and then one just on Twitter. And both of them have been relentlessly sort of disproven, right? They keep parroting this stat saying that it's like that only a very small percentage of Britons inhabit these houses. But what the implication is that people who are non-white British, i.e. people who are born abroad but are now British citizens, don't count as British people, and therefore that's how the statistic ends up being that it's less than half of who in these houses are Brits, and yeah, that's like a key. People are arguing about now and projecting about it and using it as a story to sort of project their values across and over. I think politicians will lean into it, and I mean, I know we talk about it like semi regularly, but Lee Anderson, right, in that interview where he says, 2019 we had Brexit, Boris and Corbyn, it made a good campaign. We don't have any of those things now, so what will it be? Oh, it'll probably be some combination of trans rights and something else.
Look at what they're doing to Sadiq Khan at the moment. Sadiq Khan's Londonistan, how everything is his fault.
Yeah.
And, how he's to blame for the Met Police going soft and all sorts. The campaign against anti-Semitism put out a pretty abominable video about him yesterday. Welcome to Sadiq Khan's London. It was really ugly.
I haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it either.
Really bad.
I wonder if, I think immigration is maybe the one that escapes this, but if for the general election, Rishi Sunak stands on a debate, enters a debate against Keir Starmer and just bangs on about trans rights, Keir Starmer doesn't know what a woman is, I think people are savvy enough to recognise that what their current life is like, how the country has been degraded over the past 13 years, and who is to blame.
Yeah, but he will do that. But that's the sprinkle of the top of the cake, right? The cake is baked on immigrants are coming over here and they've taken your jobs and now you can't get a house anywhere. And that's why you're poor, right? And then that's the sprinkles, the trans stuff. There's also like evangelicism. What? No.
Evangelism.
Evangelism is like the middle layer, right? That's like the jam in the middle there. Oh, young people, they hate you. They won't have babies, and they are the reason that your grandmother can't get an NHS appointment somehow. And then like the next bit of sponge is all the people who don't feel like they're being paid fairly.
Just so I can picture this in my head properly, is this a Victoria sponge? Is that what we're
I think that would be like the most natural cake.
A good English cake.
I think so. I think so. But what I'm saying is that's all that the trans stuff is just like, that's just a little bit of spice. That's just a little sprinkle on the top that he goes.
The top of the cake.
Yeah.
It's iced, and in icing he's written, "Can a woman have a penis?"
Yes.
Question mark. Nice.
Then the smaller icing. Keir Starmer says no. It's a poorly designed cake, to be honest with you.
And the sponge is all him saying, like, is him pointing at NHS doctors and immigrants and saying they've taken your money. And then Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng are lifting it into the oven.
The thing for me is, like, the salience of immigration particularly has massively decreased since 2016, right? If you look at the polling for the 2015 general election, for every single group in the country, if you number one political priority, whether it's by region, gender, income, ethnicity, is immigration. That is no longer the case. Now, if you look at those same groups, what their number one political priority is, it is either the economy or inflation. And there is one group for whom immigration remains the single most political important priority. And you guess who it is?
Tell them who it is, Ollie.
It's the over 65s, Ava. And so whilst that works to a certain extent and provokes, like, Rishi Sunak is sort of hardening a slightly more extreme right anti-immigrant base, everyone else that's like, my savings my mortgage has been decimated by interest rate hikes. My food shop now costs me 20 quid more than it did 2 years ago. I think you're sort of right that if and when that Conservative campaign, they will obviously do the Keir Starmer doesn't know what a woman is stuff, and the Labour Party would be idiots if they didn't expect that. But if that doesn't sit alongside some kind of competent vision for the economy, I don't see it working.
But then you see the Conservative reaction to that polling today, where that model said that the Tories are just going to get battered, and you did a lot of Tories.
That was the Telegraph headline.
The Tories are going to get fucking battered, by the way.
Yeah.
But they seem to think the takeaway is they're not being right wing enough. That they're like that's the lesson.
Though.
Yeah, no, completely. But
yeah, like Lee Anderson declaring that he's going to resign as deputy chairman of the party if they don't toughen up the Rwanda rules. If we don't leave the ECHR or tell Strasbourg to fuck off or whatever he wants us to do. That is pure culture war, because that is not helpful to the argument. If your argument is truly, we don't like that people are being people smuggled over the channel, the reaction to that is not to go, we're leaving Strasbourg or I'm leaving the party.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Isaac Levido or any of those guys are watching the pod and they think that's the lesson to take, then you're onto one there.
Great. Absolutely, sir.
I would be terrified if you guys became more right-wing.
Oh my goodness, can you even imagine? I think they'd take every single
I
seat.
think they'd take it'd be 650-0.
Even Northern Ireland.
Even Northern
they
Ireland.
would take the Northern Irish seats.
It feels sort of synthetic right-wing, what they're becoming, though, right? It doesn't feel like...
There's no courage in it. There's no convictions.
Exactly that.
It's a pastiche of, like, some sort of 20-year-old, the worst kind of student's dream. That's what it is.
Like, if you're going to go full Mussolini, do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
March. Have a march. Where's your paramilitary?
Yeah.
We should encourage the Conservative Party to develop a paramilitary.
Oh, I haven't seized control of the Reichstag yet, have you?
Would you vote for them if they made the trains run on time?
Can you leave me alone?
Would you vote for the fascist party?
Yeah, would I vote for a fascist if... I don't take the train, I cycle, so...
So actually it wouldn't have any bearing on Eva's vote. She'd vote for them for different reasons, of course.
Yeah.
The train thing would have nothing to do with it.
Ed, would you democratically enable a fascist state?
No. Would you?
Depends what was on offer.
What's an offer? A slightly later starting LBC show.
Yeah, I'll probably go, guys.
You have to get up at 2 a.m, not 1 a.m. Oh, whoa.
That extra hour's sleep makes all the difference, baby.
Absolutely.
I will be at the Cultural Vanguard for you, Benito.
Meeting the king on his behalf.
More culture war, I would argue, is what some whispers in the party want to do, which is move Sunak out of the way and move another person into position.
They should do that.
Again, if you're listening,
give
it a go.
Gold. This will win you the election.
Because none of that is actually about policy, right? It's all about keeping your seat by putting on a show, right? If another Tory MP can stand up and lie better than Rishi Sunak to the public, they might win a few seats. Labour are on track to win 196 seats at the next election. If, according to this YouGov poll that came out in the Telegraph piece that you're talking about, that would be a bigger landslide than John Major losing in 97 when he lost 178, I think it was, seats or something like that. The biggest gain since like the turn of the 20th century. And then I kind of love that Reform are sort of just like bubbling away in the corner. So there's late 90s number of seats that Reform will be standing in that will, if they stand there, the seat will go to Labour.
Nice.
Interesting.
That's quite cool to be able to do that. They have cool. That was really shit. Ignore that. Sorry, I'm tired. That's very interesting. Fuck off. No, but you're basically like kind of like Geppetto, right, with Pinocchio,
Kingmaker, yeah.
because you can control the entire election.
You're just fucking with the Tories, basically. You're splitting the right wing vote.
Yeah.
You could haul out your candidates at the last second, the last minute. Farage goes, turn around, boys, we're getting out of here.
We're not marching on London anymore.
Yeah.
The fascist party can wait.
Do you think Nigel Farage, if he were to run for Mayor of London, would he win it?
No.
Why not?
Yes. Yeah, you'd win. Well, I do think you would win.
I want to hear why not first.
Historic trends, I suppose. On
What of him not winning before?
I think like Liberal Boris won it. Does Liberal Farage win it? Does Farage in his current state win it? The voting electoral system as well encourages more nuanced thing. I don't think you get many people with a second preference. It would be like you can vote Labour and Reform in that sense. I think
You might, because you might really not want to put Susan Hall in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think. Presumably Farage just splits the Tory vote, of which there isn't that much anyway.
I get really confused after putting my first choice. After that, I'm like, anyone. I don't know.
Why do you think you would win?
So I think people misinterpret London as some kind of hotbed of metropolitan liberalism, forgetting. I've also forgotten the exact numbers, but let's just say specifically that London voted 60% Remain, 40% Leave. I think it was narrower than that actually, but let's just say for the sake of argument that it is 40% of London voting Leave is millions of people who have at least an interest or political sympathy with Nigel Farage. Now, I think you run into difficulty when we start talking about ethnic minorities, his positions on immigration and such. But I think as a right-wing figure to contest an election with Sadiq Khan, I think he would poll better than Susan Hall for sure. I think he would finish above Susan Hall, and I think he would actually pose. But Sadiq Khan has essentially walked. I mean, the last one was much closer than he was expecting it to be, right? But he has essentially walked these London mayoral contests so far, and I think Nigel would give him a run for his money.
That was also because I think Shawn Bailey was an interesting candidate at the time.
Interesting candidate.
In what sense?
Say Shawn Bailey's a fucking idiot without saying Shawn Bailey's a fucking idiot. He's an interesting candidate.
Remember when he did that video? I can't remember what it was, but it was like outside of the boundaries of London. And he was like, it's really difficult for these guys to get to work in London. It's like, well, you've got no provision over
They
that.
can't vote for you, Shawn.
Yeah, but you know what slaps as well is that he's on the London Assembly. So it's like, that would be your problem too.
Can I tell you more what slaps when it comes to Shawn Bailey, who so clearly just wanted to fucking stand against Sadiq Khan, lose it, and then get put, do his bit for the party, and then get put forward for a safe.
He thought he was going to be
for a safe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's a degree of false confidence there, but nonetheless, if he had an ounce of realism, he would be hoping that he got trotted out to like a deep sort of southeast Essex coded part of southeast London, like Beckenham or Bromley, and just get one of those safe Tory seats. COVID hits, the election is delayed. He misses out on the 2019 general election and doesn't get to stand for a seat there. He then has to face the ignominy of losing to Sadiq Khan again. And in the intervening period, someone else who is also called Shawn Bailey gets elected into Parliament for the Tories. That is not him. Yeah. I just fucking love that.
Yeah, that his life sucks.
Both bald.
I don't actually know what the MP Shawn Bailey looks like.
I didn't know there was an MP Shawn Bailey.
But maybe he's not.
Pull that shit up.
I'm just a fan of the original Shawn Bailey.
Okay,
and I hope he takes some comfort in that.
He's not bald at all.
No.
He's got like a hairline that's, well, actually neither of you would envy it because you two actually have really good hairlines.
That's really quiet.
Did you?
He caressed me.
That's Shawn too.
Shawn Hickey.
Yeah.
Good head of hair in that man.
That's odd, that isn't it? That must be. Can I just say, I haven't felt right since you opened that fucking envelope.
So the anthrax will do that to you.
I am full of dust. Why did it come over my way and not Ed's way?
Because I repel anthrax.
What if that's
trained
made me
myself.
infertile now?
God, that'd be it'd be nigh on impossible to trace it back to that.
Huh?
It'd be nigh on impossible to trace it back to that.
I don't think she was being serious.
Well, I wasn't engaged. I didn't
Yeah, also,
understand.
why are you so invested in my fertility?
Sorry, we have to
Ed, stop bringing up Ava's fertility
We've had-
unprompted on the podcast.
We've had to edit out the 30 times I've done it previously. Once an episode.
Can we talk about David Cameron?
Please.
So you might remember last week on Tuesday, David Cameron appeared in front of
I don't remember Tuesday, actually.
Well, I don't think you were here.
I've got no idea. Oh, you were at your lunch.
Ah, yes.
That R is the same R you do at the beginning of your Grantham video with Margaret Thatcher when you go, "Oh, a customer," and it's a police officer.
Great knowledge of the PoliticsJOE canon, Ava.
That video's burned into my brain.
That video.
Mostly because I remember the horror. I remember the horror in your eyes when you realise your flies are under
The
for
video,
the whole video.
the video in question is selling eggs next to the Thatcher statue for the people who don't know that.
Classic bit of PoliticsJOE
Yeah,
content.
it's really good.
All of the colour left your face.
Yeah.
You were like,
Some people thought that it was a bit because I was dressed in character. Right? I was doing like an 80s wide boy selling the eggs, and they thought that part of the character was that my flies were undone. Ava made sure no one could have that impression by tweeting, no, he's mortified. That was an accident.
It's very good though.
Good vid.
post your L's.
Absolutely.
Back
Well,
to-
you go back and reshoot it.
Right, back to DavCam.
Yeah. Go on.
So
Flies on that.
he appeared.
Yeah, sorry, Ed, your flies.
David Cameron appeared in front of a select committee last Tuesday, and he was asked a string of questions about Israel-Gaza. Specifically, is it right that Israel is allowed to turn off Gaza's access to water whenever it feels it would like to? And he said it's not very good that they do that. I'd rather they didn't do that. And he was pressed and pushed on this question of, is that a breach of humanitarian law? And what he essentially said was, it wouldn't be his place to say, right? So just play the clip.
I don't think Israel regards itself as an occupying force, but whether that is correct, I would want to take legal advice, because this comes to this issue about aid, where I think Israel needs to do more, a lot more, to get more aid into Gaza, which perhaps we can come on to.
Forgive me, we know that Israel does not consider itself to be an occupying power, but British law currently does consider Gaza to be an occupied power. Can you, an occupied territory. Can you just confirm that on the record?
I don't know the precise legal definition of that. I'd have to go back and check.
Philip? I think we all know that the Foreign Office does know what the official legal position is.
We describe the territories as the occupied Palestinian territories, but
that's a different question.
That's a descriptor.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should give you a piece of written advice on the legal position.
I think what the chair's asking is, do we consider Gaza to be occupied militarily at the moment? Is that what you're getting at?
I'm asking for the British government's legal definition, whatever they consider to be the terminology of occupied, because as I understand it, there is no question that in law, under British law and according to the UN Security Council Relation 22334, on which we have based our legal position, Gaza is an occupied territory.
Now, over the weekend, he was on Sky, and this is after they have been, with the coordinated attack with the US, they've been bombing in the Red Sea. Houthis have been bombing oil tankers anyway. David Cameron's asked by Trevor Phillips, do you agree that with the South Africans, that Israel has a case to answer before the International Court of Justice, right? Now, suddenly, David Cameron has really decided on international law. Suddenly, he is a lawyer and he can actually answer questions. And, well, here's the clip.
Do you agree with the South Africans that Israel has a case to answer before the International Court of Justice?
No, I absolutely don't. I think the South African action is wrong. I think it's unhelpful. I think it shouldn't be happening. Now, of course, I'm not a lawyer, but they are talking here about genocide. They're taking this case on the basis of genocide. And, to prove that, you've got to prove that there was intent. Now, I take the view that Israel is acting in self-defense after the appalling attack on the 7th of October. But even if you take a different view to my view, to look at Israel, a democracy, a country with the rule of law, a country with armed forces that are committed to obeying the rule of law, to say that they have, that country, that leadership, that armed forces, that they have the intent to commit genocide, I think that is nonsense. I think that's wrong.
But you can't know that. You can only judge on the basis of what they've done.
Yeah, you can judge. You can judge, though, on the basis of what they have done and how they've acted and why they're acting. And to say there's an intent to commit genocide, I do believe that's wrong.
All right.
Anyway, so I just think it's quite interesting that the Foreign Secretary went from not wanting to comment on international law to suddenly being so well read on it and so in tune with it that he felt he could give a really decisive answer like that.
We had a fair few days to do that, to do a law course.
Do you think he did like a
intensive Open University?
Yeah.
International Relations Masters.
Do you think the unifying thing between the two of them was that the first would have required him to accept that Israel was an occupying force, which is Britain's stated position, but one which he doesn't want to adopt because it would defer from Britain's unwavering loyalty to Israel? And similarly, in rejecting the validity of the case in The Hague, he can still maintain his unerring support of Israel. So whether or not the legal merits and his knowledge of either is superseded by his desire to be an ally and support Israel.
Look, I can't answer that. I think that's questions for DavCam. But what was interesting, Alicia Kearns, who was chair of that Defence Select Committee, did actually push him on that line that Britain's position is that Gaza is occupied. And even then, he was like, well, I don't know the detail
I would
here.
hate to say something about Britain's foreign policy.
But it's quite extraordinary when you go back to 2011. His position, Cameron's position on Israel-Gaza was very, Israel is an occupier and they are cutting off supplies to Gaza regularly, and I don't like that. Something has changed.
Interesting seeing him back out and about doing the interviewing rounds. Interesting seeing him under questioning in the select committee as well, Mr. Cameron. I don't think he's as he was viewed right as in 2010 and before as this sort of like ultra modern slick communicator, hotshot guy. I got to be honest, I don't really see it. I see him in a select committee referring to a drone attack on a British warship and calling it a hostile aviation thingy. Yeah, that's slick.
But you know,
he's out of practice.
His colleagues should have backed him there. Like, if you said something that's stupid, I would then go into the next interview and I'd say, well, there was an aviation thingy. And
it's actually a foreign office technical term.
You know, I would back, maybe not you, I'd back you.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Would you guys back me? I feel your loyalty is fucking built on paper.
We would undermine you quite a lot. I think.
Let's also talk about Greensill and David Cameron. So do you know that he was asked during an interview with Laura Kuenssberg about Greensill?
Yes.
And he was specifically asked, how much money did you make from Greensill?
Yes.
And he said, I was a private citizen then, so I don't want to tell you. What's really interesting about that, we know exactly how much he raised for Alzheimer's.
Mm.
Now, why are you allowed to tell us how much you gave to charity, but you're not allowed to tell us how much you earned from Greensill Capital? Did Greensill do something wrong?
Because the numbers would dwarf. One number would dwarf the other.
Yeah, and it's all his Alzheimer's money,
He's gone bankrupt from
his accountant's going, stop giving all this cash to Alzheimer's.
I'm too generous.
His accountant thinks he's
It's
Alzheimer's.
the big society.
He keeps forgetting that he's donated money to Alzheimer's.
That's what he was actually lobbying for during the Greensill debacle.
The big society, or Alzheimer's?
Trying to lobby. He was actually going, I've got no money. I've given it all to Alzheimer's.
That's what's going to come back. He needs a job.
The Department for Health has got to pay for some of this.
They need to match at least some of my donation.
Yeah.
I need to be reimbursed. I've got the receipts.
Or did he lose them?
Did you miss David Cameron?
Not particularly. No. But I think it's quite an interesting throwback. It's quite interesting seeing someone who was so of his time today. Be like, what would like John Major be like today? Or like,
he never fucking shuts up, mate. We know what he's like.
Yeah, I suppose. But
any time they start talking about Brexit, wheel out John Major. Where's Heseltine? Is he still alive? Get him on Sky News.
He has been out and about, Heseltine. You know what is so back, though, is Indie Sleaze. So it's quite right that David Cameron is back as Foreign Sec because Alexa Chung is so back.
Is she?
No, but just like her essence.
I wish she was back.
Her
Imagine
essence.
she was.
Everyone's talking about her. You know,
What is she up to these days?
she still does fashion bits. She writes for Vogue every now and again, curates some bits, but she's mostly just going viral for her knee socks era.
I love.
And she was
Arctic
wearing knee
Monkeys.
socks a lot.
Do you know what there is? There's that clip, I can't remember if I mentioned it on the pod before, of Cameron, and I think it's Sarkozy.
Wearing knee socks.
Yeah, and they've just successfully bombed Benghazi, and they're giving a speech in, I think, Liberty Square or Freedom Square or something
Oh,
it's
you've
called.
talked about this before.
And they're both wearing knee socks.
Oh, really? Oh.
And the Arctic Monkeys are there.
They walk out to Mardy Bums, the last time he got played, before he opened with Bristol 14 years ago. No, and they're like giving a speech basically after being like, yeah, we've successfully bombed your country, and there's like a crowd of several thousand people, I can't, like cheering, and it's so of the time. Could you imagine Rishi Sunak? I don't know, it's not necessarily completely analogous, but like, let's say let's say we escalate our bombing campaign in Yemen, and we fucking dispatch Sunak to Sardar or somewhere, and he's like there giving a speech, being like, "You will enjoy the fruits of capitalism."
You're welcome. Welcome to the West, brothers.
Not too dissimilar to that bizarre video that he posted, or the Conservatives posted of him in Kyiv when he was clapping on, when was it, Friday?
What was he clapping?
He'd gone over to Kyiv, and in Kyiv they were thanking him. I guess he's in like.
They gave him the
he's in
freedom of
Parliament, isn't
Ukraine.
he? Yeah. Oh, is that what was happening? He was getting the freedom of Ukraine. They're all in a.
It's not worth much these days.
That's not where you can go.
Well, no, but I think we're looking for the freedom of Ukraine. I don't think they have that right now.
They should
right?
stop giving it out to Western politicians. They
Yeah.
need to have
They
short
need that
supply.
themselves.
Yeah. If we've got the freedom of Ukraine, then
Give it back, Rishi.
yeah, we should give that back to them.
Rishi.
We've got it for safekeeping, so the
See,
Russians
there's
can't
a
get it.
war on.
You've got that down your street. You need to fly right back and give it. Does Zelensky know you have this? You'll be so annoyed.
Nice.
Is that the end of the pod?
Yes.
I need your consent as well, Ava. Is this the end of the pod?
Yeah.
It's mutually assured destruction. We've all got a big red button to
Honk. What does your button sound like when you press it?
Ava?
It doesn't.
Does it make a noise?
It doesn't, no.
I think we should trick.
Go on, press your button.
No, there isn't one.
I can see it.
Press it.
I mean, imagine if like me and Ollie just had buttons and there wasn't one for you. That'd be insane.
Well, there isn't one. That's what I've been
I can see
complaining
it.
about.
It's the gender pay gap. In
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely.
No, we can see your button. Press
There
it.
wasn't enough.
Press your button.
I don't have one. Where is the button?
It's right in front of
You
you.
press
See
it if you can see it so clearly.
That seems like an invasion of privacy. They're also
I press the button and here it is. It's a pig colon. That's
Ollie has
why
to
I
eat
didn't
it.
want to press it.
If we had a Patreon tier, one of them would be a pig colon eating tier. Where if you get enough money,
We go for dinner. Have andouillette together.
There's got to be some sort of French cuisine around here. I bet we could get a pig arsehole in here for Wednesday. What was it called again?
Andouillette.
Andouillette.
Oh, I'm just gonna get it raw, no flavouring. Stick in the air fryer upstairs.
Do you reckon Quality Chop House do it?
Oh, it's right up their street.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you get St John or something.
Nah, too French for St. John.
Too French.
Mm.
But they're all about nose to tail cuisine,
They are,
and that's very
but
much
English
tail.
nose to tail.
Well, you could have an English pig.
There's that restaurant in Marylebone, isn't there? That only does steak frites. But if you turn up and you give them the wink, they do bring you the pig arsehole.
They take you into the back, and there's a trough, and you just get to eat a whole pig colon.
What, like the human centipede?
Yeah. Oh, there's a pig eating your arse at the same time. And you cover your head so God can't see.
Enough.
If you were to get home from work and go into your bedroom, and you weren't sure, but under the covers, it appeared to be the case that there was a pig, a man behind the pig, eating the pig's ass,
The pig's eating the bird.
and
Forbidden bird.
and a pig behind the man eating his ass. And the forbidden bird is flying around doing laps. What would you do?
Duck in.
Room for a fourth one, fellas.
Absolutely. Room for a little one. Num 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 num.
Sorry, that's what you press your button again. That's the noise it makes.
Yeah, that's good.
Hello, Porky. Num 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 num.
He's for those listening. Ed's gesturing as well. He's up there like diving in.
Diving in. The way it should be done. You've got to commit. I mean, or smoking a cigarette afterwards.
All four of you.
Yeah. Sharing a cigarette.
I think the pigs probably smoke Mally Reds, don't you?
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
What did they smoke in Animal Farm?
Pipes? Do they smoke an Animal Farm?
Rothmans, probably.
Dunhills.
Yeah, I could see that.
Me and Napoleon. Rimming each other.
Camels.
Cigarette breaks between.
They needed each other's arses for so long that you could no longer tell which was man and which one's pig. All rimmers are born equal, but some rim more equally than others. I'm trying to find a way of getting the Shire horse involved, but I can't figure it out.
What's the Shire horse?
He's like the big, powerful animal that when the animal revolution starts, he's like the big, strong boy.
Well, he should be at the back then, shouldn't he? He's got to be behind Ed.
He's got a fucking dumper truck on him.
You need two people. You fit your head inside.
Is this illegal?
What? To have sex with an animal?
You detailing your technique for eating a horse's arse.
Well, that's not illegal. I think doing it is illegal.
Mr. Hands.
That's what I mean, though.
What, like if you rimmed a pig?
Yeah,
you
that's
can't-
illegal.
yeah,
You can't interfere with a pig like that.
Why are you allowed to eat, like, I can't think what you've called it.
You can eat it.
Endmio, or whatever it was.
Andouillette.
Andouillette. Why are you allowed to eat it in your French restaurant?
But not
you
with pigs
can't rim a
alive.
pig in
Come on, you don't need me to explain that.
Maybe I do.
Toast salad. I'm going to go down to Hackney City Farm and have an unbelievable afternoon.
I have no good memories. I am always.
You should try doing what Ed does when he goes there. You have a much better time.
I'm not allowed back.
No, I'm just always hungover when I'm there, and there's always animals there. And every time I think, why the fuck have I come here again? Ed's rimming the animals.
Hello.
What do you think the thumbnail for this episode will be?
You getting your arse eaten by a pig.
Luckily, you walked in at the beginning, so we do actually have a shot.
It can be as if I've walked in to my
Right.
room, under the covers, there appears to be Ed and two pigs. I don't know what's going on. What does the forbidden bird look like? We'll get that in there as well.
I don't know.
How do I look it up? Do I type in the forbidden bird?
Please. Well, I would like to see what that Google search yields regardless, but...
A phoenix.
It's come. What is the forbidden bird? This is a real thing. You're not going to fucking believe it. It's only brought it up. Traditionally, diners cover their head with a napkin or a towel while eating the delicacy.
Wait, is it actually called the forbidden bird? That was a joke.
What is the forbidden bird? And it's come up with, look, literally, what is the forbidden bird?
The ortolan,
Bunting.
the Eurasian bird in the bunting family.
Bunting. A passerine family, now separated by most modern scholars from the finches.
It's good to keep up with bird facts. That.
Are you across the scholarship on the separation?
I'm actually more of a traditionalist of Finnish scholarship.
No, they're just not breeding in France at all. Oh, they are at the bottom of France.
Because they keep being made to participate in big human-based orgies, and they've had enough.
They fly south for winter, am I right, boys?
Absolutely.
Am I right?
I think we're done.
I think we
we're
were done
way
about
past done.
half an hour ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure this would be just for us. They've not been
I
ruling.
love, like the media monitor people who work for both political parties.
Yeah.
I know exactly who it is for one of the parties. And sometimes he does message me every now and again to say, could you get to the bit that I have to write notes on? Because sometimes I'm writing notes and you've been talking about fingering for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think if the Conservatives run a campaign against the inhumane practice of rimming pigs, they'd win a landslide election.
The animal rights
Is
stuff
that
does
like,
play,
is that
though.
what is that?
Was it 2017 when there was that Facebook petition about ivory that accrued like millions of signatures? I don't remember that.
Oh, what was his name? The other guy who then disappeared. What was the guy? You know who I mean. Kofi?
Kofi Annan?
Stop Coney. Joseph
Coney.
Coney.
Joseph Coney.
What? I don't understand how that pertained to this conversation.
That got wildly out of control.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And then the man who founded it was arrested masturbating on a highway.
Would have been fine if you had a pig with him.
Absolutely.
We've got to
We
call
need
it.
to stop now.
Joseph Coney would be out of power then.
You done?
Yeah, you?
You done?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for listening to the Politics Joe podcast. We'll see you on the next one.